As you inhale this first breath of cannabis, welcome it into your being as you feel the energy that begins to seep into your body.
All of the things, like a lot of people come there for you know, maybe it's not necessarily drugs and alcohol. They might have maybe depression or anxiety or something like that. There are chefs and
healthy food, is it?
yeah, and they can't have sugar or alcohol, obviously. So like I haven't had alcohol in like 3 months.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I feel like a new person. It's bizarre. Yeah. I'm actually from Melbourne though, so I'm going back in about 6 days, and that will be hard to go back to that weather.
Oh, God, yes. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Melbourne weather is terrible.
Yeah, I know, it truly is, eh? Although, are you on social media?
Me? No,
Yeah.
I don't do social media.
I think that's so insane. Neither does my dad. Like,
Why
he
is it
doesn't even
insane?
exist.
Why
Because how do you exist outside of the metaverse?
You have to be kidding, surely. You've got to be kidding. Yeah, I mean, my God, you get all your news from Twitter and Instagram and all those things, do you? Or, I mean, people go on and on about Facebook and Twitter and God knows what else. And
Yeah, I wouldn't trust Facebook. Although Instagram and Facebook are both owned by Mark Zuckerberg.
yeah, they are. They are. And well, no, Twitter should become a bit better now that Elon Musk has taken over.
I read the other day that he fired everyone and then
Most people.
resigned as CEO. So does that mean? But does that mean that he still owns it,
Oh,
right?
he still owns it.
And he just employed someone else as CEO.
Yeah, apparently he has
Okay,
got somebody else.
that makes sense.
Hopefully somebody will keep doing what he wants to do, you know, because he wants to get rid of all the oh, here we go. Get rid of all the woke stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to go on Facebook. I don't want to go on those things. Unfortunately, you're going to have to put up with Daniel Andrews.
I sometimes cyberbully Daniel Andrews on Instagram because you can do that through Instagram. Because I'm following.
Well, you might be the other person because the media aren't down there, the Liberals aren't criticising him. They're too interested in getting rid of these bloody women that they can't stand. Hopeless, absolutely. Daniel Andrews is going to be around for 10 more years simply because there's no opposition in Victoria. Absolutely. Now, a lot of people say the Victorians deserve Daniel Andrews because they keep voting him back in. The trouble is there is no damn alternative. There's no alternative. And that's the problem.
I'm just good at caring too much. I'm just good at caring too much.
And then like just our conversation, just like bits of our conversation, like, you know, so what's Elon Musk doing lately? Something like that. And then just got like the Uber sign and then like our voices. It's very aesthetic.
How do I... This is so if I go home and I click on YouTube on my Foxtel TV, right? I've got YouTube button on my remote control. How do I get to you?
I'm just good at caring too much. I'm just good at caring too much.
With these soaps, this lady she made all of these soaps.
I'm just good at caring too much. I'm just good at caring too much.
It is somewhat dark, but it is still daylight. And then what's behind me? A bush. Bushes are nice. How's that? The content of the content. You with me? Okay, so what am I talking about today? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I have something else to play you.
Where are you from? From which planet did you fall?
Isn't that accent just to die
If you're
for?
from here, have you ever left this country? Those were my questions. By the way, I just saw your video and I like what you're doing. You clearly know what you're doing.
I like him.
I guess the funny thing or the catch in your videos is that you are actually making a smart observation but using a language or a form of communication that maybe doesn't make it sound smart, but if you pay attention, actually it is. Right? Or am I wrong?
So today we're going to talk about being a healed girly. Okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean that we should all be, we are all in our healed girl era. Or healing girl era. Like, because it's always a process, right? So what do I mean by healing girl era? Healing girly era. It means doing like loads of inner work and meditation until you're like glowing in the dark because it makes us sexier, to be honest, because it makes us sexier. I've come to understand that energy is what makes a person attractive. Like, if we can't all see our sex lives as an end goal, then what even is your motivation? Sorry, I just saw a ghost. Yeah, because, healing girly era. Now, what that means is it means doing like shadow work. I mean, like if you don't have a therapist, what? Yeah, what? Like, do you need me to refer you to one? So I've written here, do you ever read something back that you've written? You're like, so why are we meditating and doing inner work? Because it makes us sexier, and also because it's like, it's not that hard. Once you get to your feelings, then you just need to get through your feelings. Because like I've said before, emotions are energy in motion. And so, being in your healing girly era is about sitting in your feelings until they dissolve and then you burst into confetti. Basically, that's what happens through like shadow work and meditation. Because I have been glowing in the dark lately. Like, figuratively speaking, but the way that you hold your energy affects every aspect of your life. And there is such an easy way to maximize the quality of your energy. And if you can understand how to do that, you can take over the world, for real. Like, I genuinely believe that. Oh, now I'm not sure why this thought has just come into my head right now. But do you get what I mean by like the way that you hold your energy? How do you hold your energy? You know, like, do you notice how you hold your energy? Like, are your shoulders slumped forward? Or do you stand up with good posture? Maybe if you surf, then you would stand better. People who surf, I can tell when people surf because they stand so straight. You're in control, Alana. You're in control, Alana. Like, maybe if you meditate more, then you might sit a bit more like this. Maybe, I'm just talking about things that I notice in other people, but maybe say if you own a couple properties or something, maybe I could probably read that in your energy, because you got, you have a few properties under your belt, and so you stand and walk a bit differently. You can tell these things, someone's energy, right? Recently, I've been listening to podcasts about scam artists and like con artists and stuff like that, because I love that no one ever gets away with anything. No one in history has ever gotten away with anything, basically. And I love this. I think we all do love, hearing that justice is served. And I'm not very much into violence and true crime because I'm kind of like, been there, done that. But I love a good scam. I love a good scam. And recently, though, when scam artists like call you, it's like they're not even trying anymore. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's pathetic. But so I was listening to this podcast recently by this girl, by a girl who's a private investigator. The podcast is called Chasing Charlie, and it's about this guy who was just like fucking over all of these women systematically and routinely, and he was like conning people out of millions and stuff like that. And you don't blame any of the women, right? Because you can understand how this happens. Because, so he was saying on his profile, right, we might as well get right into it. So he said on his profile stuff like, I want a girl who, you know, you gotta be fit. Sometimes you say that. What a fucking ridiculous thing to say. You have to be fit. That's just my opinion. But, you know, when people list to me, I mean, I sound like a hypocrite now because my Tinder profile literally says, here are my demands. But, like, at least I'm being honest, you know. But so this guy, Charlie, was allegedly his name. I don't think it was his name, but it's called Chasing Charlie. And so this guy, fuck, I do go on sometimes. Like, when I'm hearing myself talk, I'm just like, get to the fucking point. Sorry. So on his profile, he would say things like, must be well-read, or like must be an educated woman looking to, you know, better herself. And like, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was like a challenge, you know. It was like, can you be this woman for me? And I think he actually said, I'm a millionaire, which is a dumb sentence to say ever. But apparently he said that in his profile, which is relevant, you know, it's relevant. And I just think, fuck, I mean, because you don't blame any of these women really for falling for this fucking piece of shit. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you spend more of your time in things like prayer and meditation, you will develop a better radar for seeing these people for what they are, you know? The truth will always come out in the end, because it's kind of like the baseline state of things, you know, because that's what is. Are you still with me? And so when you start, you know, manipulating people and running their lives into the ground for money, like, eventually people are going to find out, because the balance of things needs to be reset. Oh, is that the sun? No, it's a light. Because like the balance of things needs to reset itself, and it does naturally. The more lies you tell, the further you get from ease and being. So I guess what I'm trying to profess is that you can develop your radar, like you can get better at sensing everything about a person, you know? Because it's just like when you really take a step back and just let things be, things kind of just reveal themselves to you in time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I feel like you're maybe not still with me. Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you falling in love with me yet? I've fallen a little bit in love with you, I'll be honest. I miss you when we're not together. But really, you should be. I am very systematically hypnotizing you into falling in love. So, good night. I just want to give everyone some information on how to deal with liars. Is if you cultivate your own energy by, you know, prayer, meditation, strategizing consciously, intentionally, and strategically, doing all of the things, and that includes, you know, like drinking water and exercise. And by water, I don't mean drinking water like a pussy. If you cultivate your own energy through meditation and exercise, and like through doing all the things, I guess, basically, then liars there won't be an issue for you, because the presence in you will force out anything that is not true in other people. Are you with me? This is not a very flattering light at all. That's a bit better. I'm not saying that this is simple. I'm just saying that it is true. That if you cultivate the presence in yourself through, you know, like meditation and doing all the things like drinking water and like fitness and all of the things, life admin, and you cultivate mainly meditation and you cultivate presence in yourself, then the presence in you will draw out anything that is false in the other person. Are you with me still? Good. Are you starting to get this yet? Oh, could I film and be lazy at the same time? Yeah. So, if you cultivate your own energy, then the presence in you will drive out anything that is false in other people. You will find that people like, you know, bad people, there will be remarkably less of them in your life. This is what else I want to talk about. Okay. Is that lighting okay? It's fine. The other thing I want to talk about was lucky girl syndrome. So, what this is about, basically, is the law of attraction, which is, I think, probably originally comes from, remember that book, The Secret, that someone wrote that's like, hey, visualize and manifest, and now we all do that routinely. I mean, I assume all of us do that routinely. My understanding of lucky girl syndrome is that it's about like kind of being the energy that you want to receive. But lucky girl syndrome, to my understanding, is about being so grateful for what you have that you understand that anything extra is just like a bonus. And it's kind of, you know what, a good example of lucky girl syndrome is, you know, when people are famous and everyone gives them free things, you know, like I get free things all the time. It's great. But I mean, like, you know, like Adam Sandler and stuff. He says in one movie, he's like, oh, you know, you get this famous and then people just give you free things and it's like, I have all this money. Can't remember the exact quote, but he says, you know, basically we give the free things to all of the famous rich people and they already have all the things. Do you get what I mean? But it's because of that energy that they put out where they're like, you know what? I'm good. I've got all of the things. And so we're just like, whoa, that's awesome. Do you want more things? Are you with me? Because when you have everything that you have, that you want, you tend to radiate an energy that says to people, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I actually don't need anything from anyone. And that's a very appealing energy, isn't it? Because you don't really want to be with someone. I mean, even men, I don't think really want to be with someone who just wants them for their money. I think a lot of them probably just feel like that's their strongest position to start a dialogue from. But no one really wants to be with someone who's just with you for your money. I don't think anyone wants that. Lucky girl syndrome is about dreaming like as big as you can possibly dream and then being like, I want to be a rock star, or like I want to be a ski instructor. I don't know, like whatever. And then just being like, I mean, make a vision board. Yeah, I love a good vision board. Love one. And so just like be like, I want to be a rock star, and then so just make a vision board with photos of Post Malone. Post Malone is the hottest person on earth. He's the fucking sexiest person on earth. And then be like, I want to be Post Malone. I mean, don't try to be someone else, but are you following? Are you with me? Are you falling in love yet? Oh my gosh, guess what else? I will be back in Melbourne in 6 days. Who's excited? I am going to be To my mind, lucky girl syndrome is about two things. The first thing is it's about being like, you know what? I am so grateful for all the things I do have. And that it doesn't matter if you're a peasant. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a peasant during wartime in a prison of war. I mean, that matters obviously because that's real shit. But what I'm trying to say is I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I mean, I listen to podcasts like they're about to be fucking criminalized. Do you understand? Like, I listen to podcasts frantically. Because I worry that I'm going to run out of podcasts. I forget that everyone in the world is making podcasts. Oh, that's the other thing. I'm going to make a podcast. Are you fucked? Should I? Should I? I'm already 100% going to do it. Are you excited? I'm so excited. Yeah. What's that song from Twilight? It's been in my brain lately. You know the one that I'm trying to think of? Girl syndrome, to my mind, is about two things. The first thing is it's about being grateful for what you have already. Like, say if you're in prison and you're like, well, what's bad? I'm in prison. I've lost everything. I've lost my job. I've lost my wife. Say, hypothetically, this is your life. And be like, well, let me just flip that and be like, well, what is right in this world? Like, what is going on that is good for me right now? And you might be like, well, there is food in this prison. You know, there isn't food in all prisons. So I just watched Inside the World's Toughest Prisons with Raphael Rowe. And then I DM'd him and he DM'd me back. It was very hot. But it made me think, like, people live with fucking nothing. People live with nothing spiritually, physically, emotionally. People are traumatized. Like, the darkest shit happens to people and they survive because you don't really need that much to be happy if you know if you have the skill set. Because it's my understanding that happiness is a game of strategy. Are you with me? Like, for instance, how do I cultivate happiness in myself? Well, I think that you need to have an understanding that happiness is only, that you will only recognize happiness in relation to darkness. What am I talking about there? It's kind of like how, you know, people like Nicola Peltz and the Kardashians and stuff like that. Not so much the Kardashians. I think maybe more Nicola Peltz and Brooklyn Beckham. Love their vibe. Like, I love them so much. I love that they're a thing, and I love that I get to watch their lives unfold. I recently saw that Nicola Peltz's dad is suing their wedding planner because apparently Nicola and her mum were like, okay, so it's like $100K for the hair and makeup. They spent $100K on hair and makeup for a wedding, which is, I mean, I know people who would think that's fair. You know, it's not at all, but I know people who would be like, that's reasonable. And they were like, just don't tell our dad. I mean, which is like kind of wrong, but I get it more than anything. Are you with me? Because you're like, it's only $100K. Like, he's a billionaire. He owns Wendy's. He owns the Wendy's company. He's, you know, not going to notice $100K, but the thing is, he does. Because I can imagine also Nelson Peltz being like, getting the bill and being like, you're going to notice, you know, like, no matter how much money you have, you are, I mean, actually, no, I don't stand by that comment anymore, but he noticed. So now he's suing the wedding planners, which I love. Where was I going with that thought? Oh yeah, Nicola Peltz is very wealthy, but like, you can tell in her energy, you can tell in her whole vibe that she grew up rich. I mean, but having said that, I would be hypocritical if I didn't now say, I think that you can tell the same thing about me, but she grew up rich and she hasn't ever had like an understanding of darkness in the world, you know? And so she comes off like a fucking, I mean, I have an ex who used to tell me that I'm a snob, and I tried to take that not personally, because I try to take everything not personally, and I thought, well, maybe I am a bit of a snob. I don't like to think of myself as that, but I mean, you have to take on board constructive criticism. And so I did, and I thought, thank you for that observation. I look back on some things that I've done, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even see myself, because I was, 18 in Europe, and just like, I didn't know that there was darkness in the world. Do you get what I mean? And then there are people, is this good content? Is this interesting content? I feel like it is. I'm having a lot of fun. Are you enjoying these videos? Please like and subscribe. I mean, no, I'm not going to beg like a peasant. Peruvian peasant during wartime. Why did I reference that? And then you have people like Paris Hilton, who, I mean, if you've heard her story, she was basically tortured to a degree in a boarding school that turned out to be like a fucked up kind of a boarding school. And she went there, her parents sent her there because they thought that it was like a normal boarding school, understandably. And it was like really fucked up and they like mentally abused her. The details aren't important, but what I'm trying to say is that develops character. I'm not saying beat your kids, but I'm saying that I don't think there is any harm done in pointing out when someone is being a bit of a pussy. People like Prince Harry and Prince William, they're kind of dripping with royalty. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, you know how sometimes you meet people and they're like just dripping with steez or like fame? Sometimes people are dripping with fame in a good way or a bad way. You know, people carry their fame differently. Because I know for ages, like when I was modelling, I kind of thought that like I was only allowed to be a model and not really any other kinds of dimensions, you know, like, and I don't think that's uncommon because you're like, when you're a model, people are kind of like, oh, you're beautiful, so that's what you do, you know, like that's your thing, you get one thing. Do you get what I mean? And then, yeah. So like I literally convinced myself that I was dumb, and I'm not dumb at all. I would call myself a mad genius. I mean, I'm not dumb, but I was like, well, can I only be one thing? Because we have conditioned women to be like, oh, so stay small, don't do too many things because that'll stress us all out. I mean, like, by men, by small men, not by good men. Sorry, I feel unprofessional if I'm lying down. Do I look unprofessional if I'm lying down? Yeah, but, so anyway, small men will be like, be less, whereas good men, and there are two categories, there are small men and there are good men, and good men will be like, be more, be bigger, you can be all of the things, and you are all of the things to me. What I'm trying to say is that, if you live in truth, and by that I mean, just meditate to the point where you're like, okay, I know what is, and I know what is not. And then you can just kind of like sit and just vibrate at that point and you don't need to worry about anything. Trust me, everything else will just arrange itself around you. And then when someone says something like, hey, you look pretty fat in that dress, or like, you will be able to see, is this constructive in any way? Is there any way that I can frame this that it might be constructive? Like, does this have any value in it? And if this statement has absolutely no value in it, like, say, you look like an idiot, and that's also can be seen as somewhat valuable, but what's something that's just like 100% low vibration? Saying something like, you're a whore. Or someone's like, if you're rejecting someone's advances and then they're like, oh, you're a bitch. You know, that's like probably the lowest vibrational thing that you can say. Or, oh, fuck you, bitch, you're not gonna have sex with me? Like, that's some pretty dumb shit. Like, so dumb that it's basically fucking criminal. I mean, it is criminal, you know? And if you're living in a state of immense presence, do I want to claim that I'm living? Yeah, I'm ready to claim that I'm living in a state of immense presence. I think I mean immense consciousness, but I feel like they can be used interchangeably. Then if you're living in a high enough vibration, then when people say shit to you like, oh, fuck you, bitch, you're not gonna fuck me. Why does he sound like that? Because he's an idiot. Then you can say like, then you don't need, that doesn't even warrant a response, you know? Because you're like, okay, there is absolutely no value in that statement. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and opinions. Whereas if someone said something just slightly higher vibrational, like, say, negging, for instance, which is a dumb tactic that some men use to try and get ladies by being like, oh, oh, is that necklace fake silver? Oh yeah, well it looks very good for fake silver. Then the lady might be like, oh, that made me feel somewhat worthless, but it also made me want to be better at being a person. Because it makes you think like, oh, He's right. I really should be buying real silver. What does that do? I mean, it makes her question herself. And if you make a woman question herself, then you can plant a seed of like, well, maybe I'm the answer. You buy fake silver? I have properties. I'll buy you real silver. And then you're like, fuck. Well, I am wearing this piece of shit necklace. Like, maybe I do need some real silver in my life. Maybe I do need you in my life. Are you what I need in my life? And you see how it works now. And I'm hoping that by me pointing out these things, which I will continue to do endlessly, unless somebody fucking kills me, and even if they do, I will come back from the dead, because you people know that I can talk to the dead. So what makes you think for a moment that I'm not going to come back and fucking haunt all of your asses? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get that terrifying, but I mean every word. So there's an example that I'm going to use from this podcast that I've been listening to, Chasing Charlie, where this woman is with this guy and he's a fucking nightmare. And then he goes over to see him and he's fucking this other woman and she can see them fucking through the window. And she goes up to the window and she's like, bang, 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 bang. And then he comes out and he's immediately furious. Being immediately furious is a tactic that needs to be pointed out and just brought into the light. You know, we're just going to shine a lot of spotlight, a lot of sunlight onto all of these tactics, actually. So anyway, he's like, immediately, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And because he gets madder, she doesn't have the right to be mad at all because she's just confused. Do you get what I mean? And so that is a very obvious tactic that I can just point out. And so now you know. If you are going into a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, you're fucking someone else in front of me right now, I am furious. And then the other person comes out fucking all what? Blazing? All something blazing? All guns blazing? Is that the saying? All guns blazing? Like, you are seeing me fucking another woman. I think he said, what the fuck are you doing here? Which is a bizarre reaction because you should be broken and begging for her to take you back. You know, she is your girlfriend right now, but he's gone, oh my gosh, if I don't get madder than her, then she's going to be mad at me. But if I get madder than anyone, then she's just going to be like, fuck, well, I need to appease him because he seems furious. And that doesn't make any sense at all because he should be apologizing and begging, but instead he's like, what are you doing in my house? It's the same thing as being like, why are you going through my phone? Kind of. I mean, that's not exactly the same because whatever, but it's like, yes, but that's not the point. You know, the point is why are you texting these photos of your dick to other women? You know, the point is not about me going through your phone. Like, me going through your phone at this point is not an issue. The best way to deal with anything is through immense presence. Like if someone comes at me like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Stealing my money. That happened to me one time and I wasn't actually stealing his money. I was, okay, so this boy had like stacks on stacks on stacks on the table, right? And I was like, money! I want to take my clothes off and take a photo of being covered in all of this money because that was just my impulse, right? Understandably. And so I went over and I just started grabbing these stacks on stacks on stacks. And he got mad. As you can probably imagine, this is not like a healthy, balanced person. I mean, good friend, but he's not a healthy and balanced person. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I took a deep breath and I said, John. I'll use the name John. It's a pseudonym, but when you say someone's name, it brings them back into the moment. Because I'm like, John. That's probably the most common name in the world. John. I see you're furious right now. Sorry? I just thought that it might be fun to take a photo of me rolling in all of these stacks on stacks on stacks. Forgive me for startling you, but you need to calm the fuck down. You with me? You need to receive people with love, but awareness. Love and awareness. So it's not about judging people. Like, it's not about looking at someone like, I'm gonna fucking destroy you, because that's way too intimidating, especially from a woman, because we are, like, women are terrifying to loads of men. Talking to a girl is fucking absolutely terrifying. And, like, makes their whole lives. You know, like, the smallest things that you do can make a whole person's day. And that's something you need to treat with love and awareness. You know, like, people are something you need to treat with love and awareness. Do you miss me when we're not together? I miss you. Do you like me very much? I like you very much.